What's up, everybody? Jack here, and today is the first day of my daily live streams for 1 week. For the beginning of these live streams, I will just be kind of ranting about some various things that's going on. I'll give you guys some updates as to what I'm working on, and etc., etc., etc. However, the focus are question and answer sessions. So anyone who joins the chat, if you ask questions, I will do my best to answer them to the best of my abilities. You don't need to join the Zoom room, but if you want to join this Zoom room, then you can, and we can talk person to person. If you want to join the Zoom room, look in the description of this live stream, and you will find a Zoom ID and a password. All you have to do is go to the link, put in the ID, and put in the password, and then boom, you will be talking to me, and you will also be part of this live stream. However, if you do not want to participate in the live stream and you still want to ask questions, that is perfectly fine. All you have to do is ask questions in the live stream chat itself, okay? Which I will now be pulling up. And I will be doing these videos, if you're missing this one right now, every day this week, Monday through Friday, from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. California time. It's actually already 10. I'm an hour ahead of California at the moment because I live in Nicaragua. So right now it is 10 o'clock. Okay. So let me pull up the live stream settings. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to rant a lot, but that's okay. Not too worried about it. What's up, Johnny Mathis? Happy Monday. What you up to, man? Can I help you with anything? I'm literally I got stuff to talk about, but I'm waiting for people to ask questions that I can help with, really. What's up, Mao Xiao? Good to see you guys again. Always a pleasure. Hey, Rita, what's up?
Oh,
Can you hear me?
oops. Yeah, I'm sorry. I gotta turn off YouTube. There we go. Sorry.
No worries. Your volume's pretty low.
Oh, geez. I'll just put the phone closer for now. Yeah, everything's okay. I'm just trying to get a routine going here again with eBay because my dog thing has been cut at least in half, maybe more right now. One of three of my jobs are in a assisted living center, and I've been asked not to come in. So yeah, so I just like, okay, I better get busy with some eBay. And
Yeah.
I'm glad I have it. I'm glad I have the foundation. That's what's so great about being diversified.
Yeah, everyone's freaking out about work right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know how many hourly workers are in the US and are not being given any hours right now, but they still have to pay rent?
Yeah.
Like, what are people gonna do? There's whole businesses that are just shut down indefinitely until this ends. Like, what does that even mean? You're not the only one. My course sales have plummeted, by the way. Normally I sell like $400 to $500 on Udemy a month. Right now it's at like $90, and it's halfway through the month.
Oh, because people aren't wanting to spend their money.
Yeah, right now everyone's freaking out, and they're not, like, even though realistically if this continues, people will be spending more time viewing things on the internet than they normally do because they're going to be stuck at home. But it's going to take a while for people to get used to being stuck at home. And right now, everyone's just freaking out and talking to each other. People are buying less products unless they are specifically related to, like toilet paper or food or these kinds of things.
But, to some extent, I listed something yesterday and it sold right away, like a basketball shirt, or I don't even know what sport. NBA. Is that basketball?
Yeah, National Basketball Association. I think that's NBA. Yeah.
Whatever it is, I don't want to give away my store anyway. So it's because it's so huge, and I don't want anybody copying it. Just kidding. But it sold right away, and it's not necessarily a necessity, and it was kind of not super. It was like $35, so it's not super cheap. So I'm just gonna keep. I don't know. I pay up for my stuff. I've always had to pay up because of where I live for thrifted goods.
Yeah.
So I'm very careful what I buy. So, I've got a desk pile, a money pile, and I think I have confidence that I picked good stuff. And so I'm gonna keep listening, and I'm gonna make money.
That's an exciting feeling.
Yeah, I mean this may for me. I'm not sure. It can go either way, but I think this could be really. I may end up not even a dog walker after this. Maybe eBay will be the thing. I don't know. But I mean, it's kind of like a. I don't know. It's like an opportunity.
Yeah, change is always an opportunity. Because most people take too long to adapt to it. So anytime things change suddenly, especially right now, this is like a worldwide, incredibly memorable event. Like, at least in my generation, we've
Yeah,
never,
it is.
ever, I never missed even a week of school to an epidemic. Let
Me neither.
alone, a lot of, like in Ohio County, they're currently shut for 3 weeks, but the school board literally said it's really unlikely we're going to reopen for the rest of the academic year. That's 6 months from now.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Well, no, and I was born in the '60s, and there's never been anything like this since I've been alive. That has everything shut down, and there's been food shortages. Not that I remember, unless it was when I was a small child, but I don't remember anything like this
There was
happening.
there were two outbreaks that I know of in this century, and one was in like 1948, and the other one was 1918, 1919, 1920. And that
Yeah,
one killed between around 50 million people. So that outbreak killed more people than the whole First World War,
yeah. But
which is
they
crazy.
didn't have the hygiene we had, and so forth. You covered it really well in your video. They didn't have the same hygiene. They didn't have the
They couldn't
same.
even see viruses back then. Like
Yeah.
our microscopes literally could not see things that small. But
Yeah.
we knew they existed, but
Yeah.
we couldn't look at them. Completely
Right. You
different
did a
world.
really good job with that. I was, I'm not like totally obsessed with reading stuff about this virus, but I've read a few things and looked at both sides and opinions and things like that. And I really found your coverage pretty reassuring in a lot of ways, and I think it was a very good job you did with it.
Sweet. That's good. Yeah, I
Yeah.
spent like
Yeah.
3 days watching YouTube videos.
Mm.
1 second. There's something in the chat. I want to make sure that I'm paying attention because this format's going to be a bit different because it's not the
Yeah.
weekly group, so I need to pay more attention to
Yeah.
the chat. Um,
Absolutely.
Johnny Mathis says he's afraid of losing his job at the airlines, which is I don't know. Like, how are they? Where do you work, Johnny? Are you from the U.S.? Because in the U.S. there's like there's so many people who are gonna go through some kind of hardship and are scared of you losing their job and that kind of thing, that it's likely there's gonna be some kind of assistance for this inevitability. Because it's not like you'll lose your job. It's like you'll lose the ability to work for 2 or 3 months, but you won't be alone in that. We're talking about like huge effects economically for everything that's going on. For example, one of my friends here goes to an online school, and the online school is thinking about canceling, even though it's an online school, only because a lot of the students have children and kids, and these children and kids aren't at school anymore because their schools are shut down. So these parents literally don't have the time to get the online education at the moment because they need to be taking care of their kids who aren't at school anymore. And it's super interesting because, like, even though it's an online school, most of the students in this particular online school, is called Lambda, have children. So they're so affected by this that Lambda is thinking about actually canceling its like semester basically, or postponing things for a while. It's definitely pretty crazy. So what do you do, Johnny? Is that or you work for JetBlue? And the hours have already been cut in half for April. Dang. Are you gonna be able to like pay your rent and stuff? That's scary. That's this like my course income's cut in half as well. But I don't need the course income to pay rent. I need it. I need like some other things. I have like 3 lifelines and the course one is like gone at the moment, so being on 2 lifelines is scary. But let's see. Broing Ortega, what's up? Good to see you again. Can you out Pizza the Hut? I think. Oh man, now I want pizza. God damn it. Pizza Hut's great. Mattias says this is worse than the zombie apocalypse. Yeah, this is real, right? Zombie apocalypse is only in video games. Oh, guys, there's this game. There's this game. It was a computer game where you are a virus, and your goal is to infect as many people before you die. And I think a lot about this game right now because in the game, the way that you would win is by being a very spreadable virus that only kills a few people. And then you infect the whole world and you mutate and you kill a bunch of people. Whereas that's like what without the mutation part, that's what's happening with this coronavirus thing. So it's interesting, very interesting. No one's asked any like earn money job. See, this is kind of interesting. Normally, when I have when I title something Q&A and I tell people, they're like drop shipping, drop shipping, drop shipping. Whereas right now, people are talking about coronavirus and that kind of thing, which is makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's basically what's going on with the whole world and the whole internet. It's completely dominated by coronavirus content. And I need to stop saying coronavirus because it's COVID. We have everyone listening to this call has been infected with coronavirus at some point in their life. Almost certainly. We're talking about like 95% chance that you've had coronavirus in the past. It causes 33% of all colds. Keep that, like, so if you've had a cold in your past, there's a 1 in 3 chance that it was due to a coronavirus. However, this disease, COVID, is a specific kind of coronavirus. But it's kind of misleading to just refer to it as coronavirus. And I keep doing this as well. I need to just say COVID. But I guess let's see. So yeah, I'm back in Nicaragua. For any of you guys who are listening now, this is a daily live stream for the next week. I will be here live, able to answer any questions or talk about anything that anyone wants. Anyone's welcome to join, or if you don't want to join the call, you can just ask questions in the live chat, and I'll pay particular attention to them. My phone is charged, and I'm able to look at the chat questions, which isn't always the case for the weekly meetings. I'm not sure what else to say at the moment, really. I'm hoping there will be some people who come up and are like, how do I do this dropshipping thing? What's it like in California right now, Rita? Because you're in like one of the areas that, like, I'm in a country, one of the few countries in the world right now that still has 0 confirmed cases.
It's good.
Which is crazy.
I don't know. It's just the streets still have cars going down them. I'm in a parking lot of a grocery store because I was going to pop in a little bit. But just, and there's lots of cars here, so people are still getting out, doing whatever they do, you know, and the normies, what they do. No, I'm kidding. We're all doing stuff. And anyway, I did get a on the ground report from somebody who was at a grocery store first thing this morning in my area in Huntington Beach. And it's one of the big chain stores. I don't remember the name of it right now, but it doesn't matter, but big store. And everybody was lined up. And when they opened the doors at 8, people trampled or were practically running over elderly people to get get the toilet paper. So some disgusting behavior.
I don't understand why. Why are people? I get freaking out about food, but toilet paper, that seems like such a U.S. thing. Or maybe it's a European thing as well. But like here, people, when there's something going wrong, people don't beat each other up for toilet paper. They beat each other up for food, like non-perishable food and water. So it's super confusing to me. Like, why do people care so much about running out of toilet paper when, like, you could just wash your butt in the shower or something? And if the argument, oh, well, maybe the water is going to go out, well, in that case, you should freaking have water, not toilet paper, you know? Like, it seems...
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why.
It's confusing.
It's a weird... I think it's almost like a meme now, you know, and then it spreads. People hear that there's no toilet paper on the shelves, so then they panic some more, and, you know, it just sort of feeds off itself.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got mine. I got a little extra. Nothing crazy. Just a little
Toilet
extra.
paper can be expensive too.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago, I got, or whenever things started, people started talking more about this. I was like, you know. So I but not just toilet paper, other things too.
Yeah.
I got, I've got some
Did you get any
organic.
water?
Yeah, of course.
Good.
And I also got a water filtration system thing. It's
Hmm.
like a Berkey, but a cheap one, a knockoff. So it's just basically, do you know what it is? It's like this big tube. It looks like the old fashioned coffee maker
Yeah.
percolator, like an aluminum tube thing. And that, you filter your water through it. And I haven't even taken it out of the box. I ordered it off eBay, but it's there. Things,
Yeah, just in case. I'm
we
glad
don't have
you have the priorities to understand that it doesn't make sense to stockpile anything if you're not stockpiling water. Because we
yeah,
die in like 3 days without water. Yet we can
yeah,
live without food for like 2 to 4 weeks.
yeah, yeah. And we don't have a lot of lakes and things near me that are accessible.
Hmm.
We don't have, like, some states, probably West Virginia is probably one of them, where uh, you know, there's probably lakes and ponds and things where you could get some water and filter it, but we don't even have that here. Not very much. So yeah, it's a concern. But because things can spiral. Like, who? I'm not trying to, like, peddle fear here, but who would have guessed 2 months ago that they'd be, closing down restaurants and stuff? Like, that's what they're
Yeah,
doing here. You can't go to, apparently. I haven't tried it, but
it's more hardcore
there.
in Europe.
Yeah, yeah. It's not. But who would have guessed? So you don't. I think that's why people panic, because they just worried that things could spiral, real fast. So I think that's why I get it. I get it. I've had my couple of moments of panic. So I just went to the store and bought more stuff. As a typical American, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Made me feel
stockpiling
bad.
things is pretty American.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
trying not to say American anymore though, because a lot of people here in Latin America and South America are like, you realize this whole frickin' two continents are the Americas. Why do people say Americans and they're only talking about United States people? Because that's not true. The reality is anyone in South America, or Latin America, or North America is American. So I'm trying to be a bit more careful with using this word.
I've
But it,
been, I know I've been aware of that a very, very long time, but it's just that's the common usage in our country, and so I'm gonna keep saying it. What am I supposed to say? The United Statesians?
yeah, that part. Yeah, I say like U.S. people. But yeah,
Uh,
there's not really a phrase that rolls off the tongue easily.
yeah, I'm not gonna worry about it too much, to be honest. People, I don't know. It's really easy to offend, and I'm not trying to. So,
So
but anyway,
Johnny Mathis mentioned something about stealth accounts. So I will quickly share some information about stealth accounts. Um, Johnny, I do not personally do any kind of selling on eBay directly. However, I do consult with people and I teach them how to run and create stealth accounts and how to keep selling on eBay after they get banned and all this kind of stuff. Um, and so, just for any of you guys watching, basically what you're going to do is you use a tool like multi-login app. You can go to multilogin.com. This tool allows you to log in to different profiles. Imagine that you're using like Facebook or something, and normally you use it as yourself. Now imagine there's another tool where you open it and you pick, all right, who do I want to be today? I want to be this person, or this person. Once you log in, all the cookies, all the information makes it look like you are in a certain country, a certain place, with a certain kind of computer. So it isolates everything. The biggest thing you have to understand with eBay stealth accounts is that you need to be able to make sure that your accounts are not linked to each other. Because if you get banned by eBay, they will ban all linked accounts to the offending account. Or even if it's just a suspension. Like say that you get a 1 month suspension or you're suspended until you pay your bill, then every single account that is linked to that account will also be suspended. So it's in your best interests to be able to maintain multiple unlinked eBay accounts. And in order to do this, you need to either make a decision. You're either going to go with the more sketchy world of purchasing these stealth accounts from people on the internet. These accounts will vary between $200 and $500, and they'll sometimes come with some kind of insurance. So if you get suspended after purchasing the account, you can call the stealth account provider, and then they will call eBay for you on your behalf, or on the account's behalf. Really, they just have some virtual assistant do it for them, and then usually get the suspension removed, and if not, then they will give you a new account. However, keep in mind, you're dealing with a very seedy industry that completely has the ability to just fuck off with your money and never give you anything, and you can't do anything about it because they are literally selling you stealth accounts. So they understand how to hide their identities and do all this kind of stuff. So you can't track them or verify anything. So the better way to do it, if you're really trying to be official, regardless of whether you're drop shipping or a retailer on eBay or a physical seller, is to incorporate multiple businesses and then use the stealth technologies to create accounts that are unlinked on eBay in the identities of these different businesses. And the reason you can do this is because you can be linked to all of these businesses. Doesn't matter. You can literally be the social security number that opens every single one of these LLCs. But what this is going to allow you to do is have different billing addresses, different IP addresses, and give you the ability to verify this information because you have business registration and all this kind of stuff. So this means that when you're growing these accounts, if something happens to one of them, then only that account will go down. Even if you literally can have 5 stealth accounts and every single account can have the exact same items, and that won't be a problem as long as you successfully operate the accounts using these digital footprint management tools such as multi-login app and various other things. There's another one called Stealth Fox. And I'm sure there's other tools. Some people even just modify Google Chrome to be able to do it. But there you go. There's a rant about stealth accounts. Johnny Maths also says that beaches are closed in Florida. Team with Irving says because the virus is going to their behind. Going there later, maybe? Yeah, I think that's what he meant. What's up, by the way? Good to see you. Do you know much about stealth accounts, Rita? Out of curiosity.
Sales accounts?
Stealth
You call them
accounts.
stealth? Oh, stealth. No, only what you guys have talked about. I mean, I definitely, yeah, I understand the mechanics behind it, I guess. Yeah. You're looking like a totally different person.
Yeah.
It looks like you're a totally different person in a different place. And, yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't do it myself because I just, not that I don't have any ethical problems with it, but just, I think you've kind of talked about before. It's a lot to keep track of, to have a bunch of different
it's hard.
ones.
Definitely challenging.
Yeah, so from my standpoint, like I just want to keep it pretty simple. But I understand that if that's your business, that's your whole business is doing whatever they're using it for, and maybe it's worth it. Especially if you have 2, I would probably do it on 2 or 3 different computers or something, so it would be less confusing. Like this is my stealth computer over here, and I just do everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do everything from that computer. So
Well, that's kind of the premise of using good stealth practices, is that you have one computer that looks like it's other computers.
Yeah. That's how I do. Totally. It's funny how you can start collecting devices. I've got a lot of devices now.
Yeah, there's more cell phones in the world than people. Internet connected devices. Number of internet connected devices. 22 billion. Holy crap.
Wow. Like
Oh,
so it's
dang.
almost four times. It's almost four times the amount of people.
That
That's
was
funny.
2 years ago, too.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Bray had to work, so I guess we won't be seeing him.
Ah, it's
I think
alright.
I think that's what he said. I think he said he'd be working or something. But we made a video. Bray and I did, or he did, and I was on it.
Really?
Yeah, we did some basics on day trading. So I just asked questions, and we went over it with the charts and everything, and it was really good. It was really good. I think in a few months I'll be pretty good at it. And it's what's cool about it is you can automate certain parts of it. Like you can basically find
I gotta interrupt
one
you
or
for a
two.
second. So,
Oh, sure.
just for you guys listening, Rita's talking about day trading. Bray is one of the people who joins this call on the weekly meetings, and he is a day trader. So he runs a YouTube channel about day trading. And day trading is a certain kind of stock selling where you sell stuff the same day that you buy it. You don't hold on to things. So it's a different mentality than if you're trying to invest in stock and hold on to it for a few years. Completely different world. But there you go, Zarita. I just needed to give people some
No,
context
that's
because you
good.
just started
I
talking
should,
about him and they don't know who he is necessarily.
yeah, I should try to remember to do that too. And also I should add we're day trading penny stocks. So these are stocks that are only, between less than $1 and I don't remember officially what it is, but usually they're no more than five, something like that, dollars that we're doing per stock, per stock
Per
share.
share.
So, yeah, per share. So, it's not as risky as people think. You just don't go in there and put all your money on one thing. And, you got to pay attention and know what you're doing. But it can be automated where once you've chosen your two stocks, maybe just two stocks that you want to get into that day, then you can set it up so that if it goes below a certain level, it'll sell it off.
Right.
And so you don't even it's automated. So you just set it up and then you can go about your business and do your day. And as long as you've been wise and somewhat conservative, depending on your risk level, risk tolerance, you can just go do whatever you were going to do for your day and then come back later and see what happened. And you can have a stop the other end too. I don't remember what you call it, stop profit or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it gets up to a certain level and there's certain indicators, where if it gets to a certain level, you don't want to stay in it after it gets to that level because it may go back down almost for sure. And so you can have a stop there too, where it doesn't, where you get out. So it protects you.
Yeah, and that's nice because it's automation. Automation's always amazing.
Yeah, and then you don't have to babysit it and sit there and be nervous and whatever. Just if it tanks, if it's going down, it'll sell off, and then you don't have to worry about losing any more money. And if it's doing well and you've made enough profit, you'll have it set up to sell at that point, and so you might lose a little here and there. The idea is, so he said if you get into three stocks, you're hopefully going to win on two. You might lose one. I mean, that's kind of normal. Like you lose on one, lose a little money, and then you gain on two. Usually that's how it kind of goes once you know what you're doing.
And ideally, you're gaining on more of them than you're losing, but there's always going to be days where you lose more than you gain as well.
Yeah, especially when you're learning. But yeah, I mean, I'm not in the black yet. I was getting there, and then I made a couple of, I guess, bad trades. So I'm working my way back up to, I put $100 in my account, and now I'm down at like 89. So I got to work myself back up to 100. It takes a while on little gains, little tiny gains.
Yeah, it's a learning process.
Yeah. And I had to do it with a little bit of money. It just isn't the same without money being involved for me.
Yeah, I could imagine that because it doesn't feel real.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to have a little skin in the game. It's fun. I really enjoy it.
I'm going to be quiet for a little bit and give people time if they want to say something or ask a question.
Okay. I can do that.
No, it's fine if you were gonna say something. Your people. I was just
No, I was
don't be weirded out if I'm not saying anything.
oh no. Well, I was gonna ask you what you've been doing to stay busy, or what you've been. Have you been working on your Nicaragua course?
Yeah, so today actually is my first day back to work. After I got back here, I was just focusing on like maintaining my environment, that kind of thing, socially maintaining, spending some time with my friends, catching up with the people I hadn't seen since I left Nicaragua like 3 weeks ago and came back. And now there's a bunch of things actually. So I've identified that there's about 6 different things I want to do with my life. The Spanish content website is the priority. It's the thing I'm doing now. All of the other things are equally awesome, but right now they only serve as distractions from the Spanish content website. But I can briefly explain what these things are, because I'm proud that I'm able now to identify that they're things that I want to do. And it consistently has kind of, all of them I've worked with or dabbled with already in the past. So nothing's like, oh, I like the idea of doing this, I want to try it. It's like, oh, I know I've been interested in this consistently over a long period of time, and this is an opportunity for me to be happier, feel more fulfilled, help people, and earn money. So these things are awesome. So I can share these things with you guys, because maybe you guys don't have the exact same opportunities as I do, but you probably have something similar. So the biggest opportunity for me right now is the Spanish content website, and the premise of this is that it is a digital information product that is marketed by me, not by another entity that's outside of my control, like Udemy or eBay or any of this. And as some of you know, I was making courses on Skillshare, and I also have courses on Udemy, and I got banned on Skillshare, and I lost all of my courses and my income from that platform. And I was banned outside of their 3-strike program. They were basically just overnight like, hey, we don't like you, bye. And that was not the first time I had that experience, but it definitely was kind of the nail in the coffin for me putting all of my time into an individual platform until I've created my own information product that's self-hosted and is independent, that no one else can ban me from, right? So premise of the Spanish content website is an answer to this. It's kind of my way of responding to the fact that I've been banned on platforms and they've just taken the thing out from under me. Like eBay, it made sense that I got banned. That totally made sense. That wasn't surprising to me, and it was actually a good thing at the time. However, with Skillshare, I was completely caught off guard. I was very confident I was doing things right. I had read the terms of use, I'd read the teaching terms of agreement, I'd read the student one, I'd read everything that Skillshare had about its rules. I did loads of research about other people who get banned. I was really educated on this platform and its rules, and I still got banned. And that really kind of changed things for me. So my answer to that is this self-hosted information product, which is in Spanish, and it teaches people in Nicaragua how to earn money online. And there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can do this. Really, it's a mentality thing. I'm not just teaching drop shipping or teaching eBay or anything like that. That's just one component. Really, the Nicaragua Spanish content website is all about empowering Nicaraguan people to see that they are actually in one of the best places in the world to earn money online. And because of the economic circumstance, it's actually reasonably likely that they're going to be able to find some level of success. Because in Nicaragua, you only need $500 or $600 a month to drastically change the quality of your life. Even $100 a month is enough to you be like, whoa, this is real. This feels real. I earned some actual money on my own. If you get $100 in Nicaragua, used to the cost of things here, that's really inspiring. And it's feasible to show people multiple different ways where they can earn $100 in a month. Whereas in the US, earning $100 isn't really going to do that much for you. And it may, if you're lucky, make you think it's real, but most of the time you have access to like between $15 and $20 an hour jobs, even if you're not educated. Maybe that's not true in all places in the US, but in most places in the US, minimum wage is $10 to $15. So here in Nicaragua, you earn $4 an hour, $5 an hour with a good educated job. So it's a completely different world, right? And any of you, like, obviously, I'm in a unique situation to be able to make a Spanish website and show people this information because I understand the mentality that I need to teach them so that they can see the opportunity they're already surrounded by. But don't think that you guys also can't do something like this, because essentially all that I'm doing is creating a website that answers that addresses a problem that people have, and I'm marketing that website. This is something that any of you listening can do with any kind of subject or topic. It's a digital information product or a membership website. A membership website is a kind of digital information product, but this is a really lucrative world that I really encourage you guys to look into, because if you take the time and you spend 1 to 2 years creating a good digital information product that sells and addresses a specific need, you could have your rent paid for multiple years, even if you're doing nothing else to maintain it. It's a really powerful way to earn money because every time it sells, you don't have to recreate it. It just sells. You have to be able to connect your product with people who need it and healthfully communicate to them why they need it. And that can be tricky. But ultimately, if you give yourself a year or two to figure it out, it's not too crazy to do. It's not unrealistic to spend 1 to 2 years creating a digital information product and developing a marketing strategy for that product. And this doesn't rely on any platform. You can do it no matter where you live in the world. You don't need to be a US citizenship. You don't need to be a US citizen. You can do it literally anywhere. And it's one of the most lucrative things that you can do based on time spent. So I really, really encourage you guys to think, how can I create digital information products? And how can I identify people who are interested in these products? Because this, no matter where you are, no matter who you are, is most likely the most lucrative opportunity that you have access to. In my case, it's making this Spanish content website. But that's just my version of what digital information product is best for me. You, whoever you are listening to this, also have a product that you're in a position that you can make. So if you feel like that's not true, you're saying that, oh, I don't know what I could make, let me give you some examples of other digital information products that I can make. I play a lot of the video game World of Warcraft, and I'm regularly playing this game and learning new things and studying other YouTube videos. You can earn money from this. You literally can make tutorials about a popular video game and earn money from that. You might say like, oh, how do you have to be a live streamer, you have to have a big audience, you have to get a lot of attention. That's not even true. It's the exact same concept. How do you create a digital information product? Well, you play a crap load of a video game. You know how to make tutorials for people who play the game the same way that you do. You can literally create a digital information product that is a course about this video game. And you may think that that's dumb, but there are literally people whose whole careers are creating designs and guides for video games. It is a reality of the world we live in. It's a big industry. And so many people play video games that people are willing to put money into getting better at video games. It is completely possible for you to create digital information products based on the experiences that you have in video games. Now, if you've just been playing a game for a week, are you going to be able to create a digital information product? It's going to be hard. If you've been playing for 2 years, you got a lot of experience. And the trick here is that no matter who you are, you have experience that's relevant and useful to other people. It's just a matter of figuring out what that experience is. Usually it's related to something you enjoy, because that means you've done it a lot, and usually you feel like it's not useful to people. That is how I feel with all of this information. I can just hammer on how amazing the internet is, multiple ways to earn money. I can just think of more and more and more and more and more and more and more. It's not like a limited finite thing. There's not 10 ways to earn money online. There's literally as many ways as you can imagine. Just like in the real world, there's not only 10 possible ways to earn money. You could be a plumber, you could be an electrician, you could work in fast food, you could be a doctor, you could be a prostitute. There's a whole world of different ways to earn money, right? Same thing with online, except online, you have access to the whole world. You're not limited by your physical location. So you could argue that you have higher access to different ways to earn money using the internet. And I can preach this, I can share this mentality really, really easily. I understand that about myself, and that's kind of why I'm in the position I'm in. And it's funny because it's not so much about just having a whole bunch of success or earning a whole bunch of money. It's all about your mentality. And really, there's no one winning strategy, no one business model that'll last forever. You can't teach a person a specific business model and honestly say that they're going to be able to earn money from that for the rest of their life. It's literally impossible. Times are always changing. Things are always changing. You have to be updating yourself. You have to be paying attention to the world around you and figuring out how things are changing, trying to predict how things are going to change, and creating products that address the needs and problems that people have or the problems that you think they're going to have in the future, right? So you can teach a mentality that will always work, but it's impossible to teach a direct business model that's always going to work. I got a little bit sidetracked there. But here is a question from Mao Zhao. He says, please, Jack, I want to ask you about CPA. Can you please elaborate what you mean by this? Rita, do you know what CPA stands for? Oh, Certified Public Accountant.
Cost per click.
CPA.
Cost per click? Oh, CPA. Yeah, certified public. I'm sorry, I thought you said CPC.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like he's trying to do his taxes, I think. So, Mao Zhao, when you are earning money online, if you have a registered business in the US, it's kind of like you're a person. You actually have to pay tax on the money that you earn. However, I understand why you're asking this question, because the reality is most international people do not pay taxes in this situation because they don't need to worry about it. Their business just gets shut down eventually, and then they can open a new one. And a lot of these people live in countries where the US government isn't going to track you down and try and find you, because it's not really realistic that they're going to be able to do that. And it's also unlikely that you're earning anywhere near enough money that the government's going to care about it. That being said, it's important to be legal and do things properly. I can't encourage anyone to not do things that way. I pay like a third of my income to taxes, even though I live in Nicaragua, right? But I also understand that the vast majority of people who open businesses in the US from foreign countries are neglecting to pay their taxes. But I'm not really sure what you want to ask me about CPAs. Maybe you want a recommendation on one. There's tons, literally. You're talking about a whole entire career profession in the United States. My one recommendation is that you look for a CPA who has some kind of experience with online business, not just any CPA, because there's tons of accountants, tax accountants, who have been doing this for 30, 40 years, and they are not privy to the world of the internet and how it has changed everything. So you really want to make sure that you're working with one who understands how online business registration works and all this kind of stuff. Technically, you don't need one. It is possible for you to register a business in the United States as a foreigner and do all of this online, using various different services, and to pay your taxes online. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can go about this. But the language barrier and trouble accessing this information does create some problems. So you haven't responded again since then, so I'm not really sure how to help you more. But best of luck! So I shared with you guys one of the opportunities that's accessible to me, and I chose to share the Spanish content website because this is something that anyone can do. Any of you listening, if you really want to change your life with money you're earning from the internet and have a lot of freedom, you're better off spending 1 or 2 years working on a digital information product than almost anything else. Everything else is possible, but way more competitive. Anytime you get into content creation or creating your own products, instead of copying other people, you cut the amount of competition you have drastically. When you're drop shipping, you are competing with the entire world, because anyone can make an account and try and start to drop ship. Maybe they're going to get banned straight away, but anyone can try. And you can just keep trying. The reality is, if you know what you're doing, you can drop ship, get banned, and already have 50 other accounts. So it's irrelevant that one of them gets banned. It's just part of your life cycle, right? But at this point, you've spent so much energy, time, and effort that you could have just created your own information product about something that you enjoy and have a more fulfilling, interesting life and be better connected to people who feel the same way you do. Your emphasis really should be, how do I create digital information products that can endlessly replicate and sell? And also, how do I market these people? How do I answer the problems that groups of people have with a digital information product? This should be your focus if you really, really want to get into self-employment on a serious, long-term way without relying on these other platforms that can ban you or suspend you at any moment. This is the ultimate kind of approach. And again, the Spanish content website is just my version of this. Everyone else's version of this concept will be a little bit different. But again, you're probably going to feel like it's not relevant to people, but other people will want the information. And you have to kind of battle this in your head. Okay? So that's that concept of the digital information product. Now, what other opportunities are in my life? Because I really value transparency, and one of the reasons that I got known on YouTube in the first place was because I was dropshipping and I was just sharing everything openly. I decided very early on that I'm not going to deal with the fear of people copying what I'm doing. I'm just going to say fuck it, and I'm going to share information as much as I possibly can. And I am so incredibly glad that I made this decision, because it meant that I got access to all the information that I could ever need. There was a point in my life where I didn't know that services existed. I didn't know that digital information products were a thing. I didn't have this information. The reality was I was completely surrounded by it all the time. I just thought it wasn't there, right? And that's the same exact reality that you all live in. It's all about your mentality and changing the way that you perceive the world so that you can see the opportunity that is surrounded by you. One of the things I've been working on recently is a better argument for convincing people that the world is significantly better off right now. Because a lot of people I know, they think the world's more dangerous. They think that the world's in a bad place. They think that we have unfairness in the world and that it's growing. And this makes me angry. And I don't want to be angry at people, but it's so frustrating knowing the history of the world and how many humans were dying to disease and violence even 100 years ago. We were being screwed. Humanity's entire existence, we have been completely screwed with by diseases like tuberculosis and smallpox and influenza. These diseases have killed more people than humans have killed, right? 100 years ago, like 70% of the diseases that were killing all humans were almost eradicated because of medical advancements. We live in a time where you probably don't know someone in your school who died of smallpox or tuberculosis or diphtheria or tetanus. These diseases used to kill people with regularity. It was very unlikely that if you were born in the 1800s, you were probably going to die of disease. And if you didn't die, someone close to you was probably going to die of disease before you were even 15 or 16. For all of human history, we have been wrecked and annihilated by these diseases and these illnesses. And I understand that people are scared right now because of this COVID thing. But think of the luxury we have to live in an age where COVID is the scariest disease at the moment. I'm not saying it's the disease that's killing the most people, but we're scared of a disease that has a 2% death rate. Smallpox had a 30% death rate. Imagine getting a disease where 30% of the people who get it die. That is the reality of most of our ancestors, most of the people before us. And so for me, it's so irritating to see people complaining about the world. I understand that the world is not equal. We do not live in a paradise. There is a lot of hardship in the world. But compared to the amount of hardship in the past, we are so incredibly lucky to be alive right now. No matter where you are in the world, you can change your life with the internet. You can change your geographical location and get yourself to a place where you can live a better life. You can get a Twitter account and say whatever the fuck you want on the internet. Freedom of speech is a thing in most places in the world now. Freedom of speech wasn't a thing even in the US 50 years ago. You couldn't just say whatever you wanted without much consequence at all. This is a completely new era that we live in. And I understand now that I see this very clearly because of all the traveling that I've done and because I've been able to kind of step outside of the system and see that you can have a really great life without working all the time. You literally can live a life where you work less than other people, you're more enjoying the work that you have, and you earn more money than the people around you. This is the reality of self-employment and online income. And it's not always going to be that way. But right now, we live in a world where you can literally do whatever you want. You are the only person stopping you. Even if you're in an area that doesn't have good access, you can change your geographical location. If you can get a hold of a smartphone that has internet access, that is literally all you need. If you can watch YouTube, you have access to more information than any human in recorded history. The average person right now, take this COVID thing. This disease first was, scientists were first aware of this disease in China in December of last year. It's January, February, March right now, right? That was 4 months ago. Take a moment to think about that. In 4 months, the entire world, every government in the entire world knows what coronavirus is. It is literally impossible to not know that there is a disease that is going around the world. And we even know it's a virus. And we even know exactly what kind of virus. You got to understand, 50 years ago, that wouldn't have been possible. It would have completely been possible for various governments around the world to have no idea that there's this viral outbreak. When this happened 100 years ago, during the World War, our press was completely censored. Our newspapers in the United States, this land of the free, was literally censoring all information about disease because the government was really scared that the enemies were going to know that the army was being ravaged by disease. So we were lying to the entire world. We were claiming that nothing is happening, there is no disease. And so was France, so was Germany, so was England. All of these places were censoring their media completely, not allowing them to say anything, okay? This is within 100 years.
That wasn't
Very
we.
recent.
That wasn't we, though. That's, the powers that be, the rich people, the people in control.
Yeah, but that's my point, though, is that we are part of these things. We live in a time now where within 4 months, the entire world knows all about this disease. 100 years ago, we were lying. And yeah, it's true that look, I get that government and people are separate, but we are what creates the government. Yeah, it's true that the current people aren't what the government is, but the current people 50 years ago, the kids, all of these people, they're now who are in the positions of power. They're the same people. They are part of us whether we like it or not. And we are reasonably accountable for their actions and vice versa. This is even more true now.
All right.
My point's just that the world used to be way, way, way shittier. And even with these kinds of fears and everything that's going on now, we have an amazing amount of opportunity. Even if even if someone gets coronavirus and dies in a month, even if they were 18 when they die, in that 18 years they had more access to information and people than any human in recorded history. We live in a completely different era where all the rules have changed. The reality has changed completely. And it's really hard to get people to feel that. Like, people have so much resentment. And that part's hard for me. I don't know. That's why I'm trying to articulate this argument better, because a lot of times when I say this kind of stuff, people don't agree and they feel frustrated, or they get mad, or they don't believe it.
No, it's true.
And
And
it's
you've
sad.
rubbed off on me a lot. You've helped me a lot to have a more positive outlook about things. Um, yeah, there really is a lot of opportunity. You just have to pick something and work at it for a while. And you most people that are watching this probably have to work a regular job, and so forth. But you do it in your off hours. The time to do it is while you're young. I'm trying to do this stuff in my 50s, and you don't have as much energy. It can be
The
done,
time to do
but
it's when you're alive, Rita.
I agree. But I'm just saying, if you're young, don't wait. Do it now. Don't wait. And if you are off work right now and you can't do anything, this is a good time to improve yourself and learn new things. Learn how to do something on the internet to make money.
That brings up something interesting, because I used to think that more people who are younger were interested in earning money online, but from my experience now, being a person who is connecting with people and educating and spreading this information, it's not actually young people who are trying. Young people aren't doing the most to earn the money online. The people who are doing the most to earn money online are people with children and people who are interested in retirement.
Oh,
This
I
is
can
the
believe it.
reality. So, like, yeah, it's something that young people may be in a better position because they're more tech savvy, but they're still way ingrained in the system. We've been
Yeah.
told our whole lives that education is everything. You must get a college degree. You must do this or you're fucked. In my case, I was blessed to have some experiences that forced me to look at it from a different angle. But if it wasn't for those experiences, I'd be working some job, struggling to find the free time to spend time with the people I cared about. And that's my reality, at least. It was a bit of a shock to me to find out that young people aren't the ones who are most interested in. So I would argue that it's actually, yeah, theoretically it would be
Yeah,
great to start off younger, but really there's way more people who are interested in retirement, and people who have kids and want to provide for their kids while being able to spend time with them. These are the people that are most interested and most likely to be able to actually make the changes necessary to earn money online. A lot of people my age aren't able to make these changes because they don't have the seriousness. They haven't really been through enough to understand that they can't rely on other things and they need to rely on themselves. It's tough. It really
Well, no,
is.
exactly. But that's exactly why I'm trying to encourage them, is because it is a little easier if you can change your mindset and get independent while you're young. You're going to have a better life. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying, I understand that it
Mm.
takes people a long time to change their frame of mind.
That's
You
good.
know,
I guess I've kind of given up a bit. So yeah, I
you
should be more
misunderstood.
encouraging to my
You,
peers.
you misunderstood me. You misunderstood me. Just because it's mostly older people doing it, that's because older people, you do get a little bit of wisdom because you've lived life. I mean, it's a thing. It's people don't want to believe that, and they think young people have all the answers. But after you've lived life for a while and you've worked a bunch of jobs and got treated like crap and couldn't get ahead, then you start. You're more open minded to look at other things. So I want to encourage people. Don't I think when you're young, you think you can somehow hack into it. Like I didn't get my college degree because I had kids young and so forth, whatever. And I thought, I was in sales, so I thought, and for a little while, I did make pretty good money, and I was sitting next to college grads and stuff. And you just, when you're young, you have a lot of confidence, and you think you can rise to the top, and some people do, but I didn't for various reasons, and but one of them was being a mother. I really put a lot into my kids, and it would have been great to have had a side hustle and things like that, but it wasn't really a thing yet when I was raising my kids. I had my kids in the 80s and the 90s, so it wasn't really.
Yeah, that was like super beginning of this world. This world basically started in like 1990, 1995. That's
Yeah.
when you really started to be able to leverage the internet to change things.
Yeah, and I was kind of poor. I didn't even have a computer until way into it. I was, I was kind of a late adopter, not because I didn't want to, just didn't have access. So that's a thing too. But now everything's gotten cheaper, and most people can at least get a phone.
Yeah,
Most people probably do have a good, what do you call it? The phone's like smartphone. So so a lot's changed. There really is a lot more opportunity than 30, 40, 50 years ago. A lot
absolutely.
more.
And
And
definitely
it's a
I think there's always been opportunity in the world, but the problem is that in the past the barrier to entry was so high. Like you
yeah.
needed a freaking ship, or you needed a large
Mm.
workforce, or you needed an inheritance, or you needed to be well connected within a university to even have access to a good library with good information.
Right.
That was
Uh,
rare.
yep. Yep. But yeah, it's we're still in the ground floor of what the internet can do and what it's going to do in the future. I think it's going to just keep advancing.
Great time to be alive.
It is. It's very interesting and exciting, and yeah, I want to do it all. But it's only so many hours in a day.
So Tony DP says, "How is Nicaragua doing during the coronavirus crisis?" I can tell you, Nicaragua is actually one of the few countries with no reported cases yet. Um, and so you should understand that geographically, influenza is very seasonal, and it is absolutely more common in colder areas. In the tropics, they don't have influenza as much. In general, and I'm not saying just like, I'm saying all things that cause the flu are much less common in these warmer tropical countries. Not saying they don't happen, and not saying there aren't other diseases like we deal with dengue, malaria, all these other crazy tropical diseases that are super intense and scary, right? But right now, Nicaragua still doesn't have any reported cases, which is kind of crazy. Um, the reality is there probably is some here because it's not a country with the best infrastructure to be able to test everybody, but also it's not a country with a whole lot of tourism and these kind of things compared to the US at least. Like the US has it's inevitably going to be infected, right? Same with Nicaragua. At some point, the disease will come here. If it isn't already, it's just a matter of time. Um, but people like you. Okay, at least for me, I haven't had a single moment where I've been like, "Oh, there's barely anything in stock in this store." Like everything is in stock. People aren't freaking out. Uh, it's also relevant to understand that 2 years ago there was a big crisis here in Nicaragua. So they went through what the world feels very recently. They were stockpiling on things, going through all that. What the entire world is going through right now is something that Nicaragua felt alone 2 years ago. And that experience is still very recent. And that experience was more of a direct threat, more of like a physical, violent threat to their day-to-day life. Whereas this is much more abstract. And also in countries like Nicaragua, I'm not going to say that everyone's more comfortable with like a percentage of the population getting sick and dying, but historically, people have been, that's kind of a reality. People have been abused here. It's not as crazy to think about death as it is in the United States. So culturally, it's very different. Like, honestly, the biggest difference the only thing I notice actually about Corona or COVID is that people are talking about it, and there's a fuckload of memes. Like, Nicaraguans love making memes and poking fun at things. So like you'll see things like a picture of like how to hook up with people with coronavirus, and it's like a full body condom, and that's a meme that people send around. You see tons and tons of COVID memes here. So that's basically it. Like, there's no crazy lack of toilet paper or anything in the stores. However, it's also completely possible that that's just because a lot of people here aren't aware of it and aren't freaking out about it yet. Whereas once it reaches here and once people start getting sick, then people are going to be freaking out more. But I can tell you that I was just in the airports like a week ago. And I was in the U.S. airport and also in the airport in Nicaragua. And I was expecting way tighter security and that kind of thing. I went to Pittsburgh Airport, and from Pittsburgh Airport in the U.S., I went to Fort Lauderdale Airport. And then from Fort Lauderdale Airport, I went to the Nicaraguan airport. I was in 3 different airports, 2 of which were in the United States. Not once was I asked anything about where I was traveling, if I was around anyone who was sick, how I was feeling, if I was sick, if I'd known anyone that was sick. The only difference that I noticed being in these airports 1 week ago was that some people were wearing masks. And that was it. Like, I was expecting more problems. I was expecting to have problems getting into Nicaragua. Not a thing. The lines were a little bit longer than normal, but that was it. Like, the reality is these airports were not doing things the way that they were supposed to. Like, definitely. And I'm sure that's a thing all over the world. Maybe less now because people are taking it more seriously, but at the moment, things aren't really affecting us here in Nicaragua. The government has like issued statements saying they're aware of coronavirus, and it's kind of likely that if something does happen, that maybe it will take too long to respond, and that'll cause problems. Here, Nicaragua is more prone to infrastructure and logistical problems. So one of the main problems with COVID isn't that like you're going to get the disease and you're going to die. It's that you're going to get the diseases, and as long as you have adequate nurse access and you're taken care of, you're almost certainly going to live. However, when there's tens of thousands of people all getting sick at the exact same time, this creates a huge problem because people can't get the basic care that they need. So this increases the death rate. And especially with things that whenever influenza kills you, it doesn't kill you directly. You can't actually die of the virus itself, whether it's caused by coronavirus or it's caused by something else. What happens is your lungs get attacked by your own immune system. So that creates an environment that's ideal for bacteria. Bacteria or other viruses then take hold, you develop pneumonia, and the pneumonia is what actually kills you. The virus itself doesn't kill you. So preventative maintenance and care by healthcare workers goes a really long way into helping people who are sick with influenza. And it's one of the best ways to actually prevent death is from just having adequate care, making sure that a nurse is making sure you're hydrated and that you are breathing properly and that you're able to keep your lungs clear. Because with influenza, that's the danger, is that your lungs become so inflamed and engorged with fluid that you can't breathe and you suffocate and you die. And that's what the pneumonia causes to happen. You essentially suffocate in your own body. It's pretty crazy when you actually do die that way. It's you drown. But my point here is that it's mostly prevented not by some crazy magical drug, not by some crazy advancement in medical care, but just by access to healthcare workers and them being able to make sure you're breathing clearly and you're hydrated. These are 2 huge things that increase survival rates a lot. But the problem is when so many people get sick at once that most people aren't getting the care that they need. And then that's when more people start dying, and it becomes a snowballing effect. Because if that many people are sick, then that many people are infecting more and more and more and more and more people. And so that's why, like, the reality with this COVID disease is that it is going to spread across the entire world. Somewhere between 10 and 20% of people in the world will have this disease or have had it at some point within the next year or two. This is the reality. So with that argument, it can be like, well, why are we doing all these restrictions? It's literally to buy time so that we slow the progress down, because it is inevitable that pretty much loads of people get sick. But what we're trying to avoid, we as a collective human population on Earth, what we are trying to avoid is having too many people get sick at the same time and overwhelm our infrastructure of healthcare systems. That's why these travel bans are done. It's not just to stop the spread. Anyone who says that they're going to stop or contain the spread, that's illogical. You can only slow it down. But slowing it down does save lives, because it gives people more time to prepare, and it gives vaccines more time to be created, and it gives healthcare workers access to fewer people. Like, imagine you're in school and you have 1,000 students and one teacher, and then compare that to being in school and you have 10 students and one teacher. If there's 10 students, the teacher has time to give attention to each person. Just the same thing with nurses in the healthcare system. If there's less people, there's more time to give to each person, more individual care. And influenza in particular is very affected by individual care. Death rates go up a lot when individual care isn't able to happen and people go unaided. This is what really increases the rate of death, right? So that's kind of a potential problem here in Nicaragua, is that if it were to spread, logistically, there isn't as much access. Like in the cities, there's more access, whereas in the rural areas, there's less access to really good healthcare. But who knows? Maybe because of the tropics, it's just not going to be that much of a problem here. It's really hard to say. All we can do really is just wait and see what happens. Wash our hands a lot. Try and avoid contact with people. And talk online. All right, guys. Anything you want to say or touch up on, Rita?
No, I'm glad we got to talk. I'm trying not to talk about the virus too much myself, just because but I mean, I know people need to express their feelings. But,
yeah, it's everyone's constantly talking about, so it's a bit tiring.
It's hard to get away from, but yeah, I'm just while we were talking, or you were talking just now, I got some drafts going for about 10 listings I'm going to do over the next couple of days. I was on Chris's call briefly this morning. I overslept like an idiot. So I hate when that happens. I didn't set my alarm right. And anyway, but I got in on the end of it, and I said I was going to do 5 a day minimum. So that's what I'm shooting for. Just, yeah. And getting to know my roommates better. We're on lockdown almost.
Yeah.
And they're older, so they're going to stick close to home. They're in their 60s, so they're going to stick closer to home, I think. So we're gonna have some fun, I hope.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
It is. It's actually kind of nice. I don't love it, but I don't hate it.
Silver lining.
It's just different. Yeah, it's just different. You know. Yeah, we'll probably be closer friends after this, and I think that's one of the silver linings. Like you said, families are going to be closer. Kids are home with their parents, so hopefully, if people are enlightened and smart about it, they'll get closer to their kids during this time, and I think it could be very good.
Yeah, and the whole world, no country is going to be spared from this. Everyone in the world is having this experience together, which I think is super interesting. I've read a few things that are like, oh, this brings out the worst in humanity, like people stabbing each other over toilet paper and crap. And that's like, it's a perfect illustration of the struggle I always have in trying to show people that the world's better. Like right now, all of humanity is going through something together. Multiple countries are working together. Like right now, there's a whole delegation of people from Taiwan in Nicaragua teaching the Nicaraguan government what to do. Like, it's amazing. Like there's so many countries and people working together and online. Like we're all experiencing this together, right? So yeah, of course, crazy people still exist. Some people are getting stabbed over toilet paper somewhere in the world, but
noteworthy. That's why it's news, is because it is unusual, actually. That's
Yeah.
why it's news. If it was happening right and left all around us, it wouldn't be newsworthy.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It really is, it's rare. If if you were to do the stats on it, how many people got stabbed for toilet paper today? Maybe none today, maybe one out of all, how many millions of people,
Yeah. The great irony of news.
Yeah.
We
Can't
make
let it,
stories about the rare things, and then people perceive these as the common things and base their
Yeah.
life decisions around it.
Yeah, it's just an animal nature, our survival. I think a lot of this is survival instinct kicking in. And people just want to survive, and they're not
Scared.
thinking. They're not feeling logical right now, or they're not being logical. So, yeah, it's interesting. Stay safe, everybody.
All right, Rita. Best of luck.
Take care.
See you
Thank
to
you.
anyone
Bye-bye.
watching. Best of luck. Ciao.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.